Today, we're diving into one of the most dramatic prophecies you'll find anywhere, a story about a king whose fate was sealed by the words of a prophet. We're talking about a prophecy so powerful, it didn't just predict his downfall, it completely canceled his entire 400-year-old royal dynasty.
I mean, think about that for a second. How does something that's been the bedrock of a nation for 4 centuries just stop? It's a huge question, and it gets right to the heart of how power, destiny, and divine judgment can collide.
Well, it all comes down to one man. In the year 598 BC, with a massive empire breathing down his neck, a young king gets a message that his family's royal line is officially over. This is the story of that king, Kanaya, and the words that literally unmade his world.
All right, so to really get what's going on here, you have to understand the absolute chaos Kanaya inherited. He didn't just become king, he was thrown onto the throne while his entire kingdom was teetering on the edge of a cliff.
The last few years of Judah were, to put it mildly, a total mess. After the good king Josiah died, Kanaya's own father, Jehoiakim, ruled with a ton of injustice. So when Kanaya takes over as just a teenager, he's walking straight into a 5-alarm fire, with the Babylonian Empire ready to just swallow his kingdom whole. And how long did he actually get to rule? 3 months and 10 days. That's it. His reign was over before it even really began. And this wasn't just some bad luck, it was a symptom of a kingdom in a deep, deep crisis.
And right into the middle of all this turmoil steps the prophet Jeremiah. He delivers one of the most severe, most dramatic prophecies in his entire book, found in Jeremiah chapter 22, and it's aimed squarely at the king himself.
And the language Jeremiah uses here, wow, it's incredibly vivid. God says, look, even if Kanaya were the signet upon my right hand, a king's personal seal ring, the ultimate symbol of favor and authority, he would still rip him off and throw him away. In a heartbeat, Kanaya goes from being this priceless treasure to a despised, broken idol, something totally useless, ready for the trash heap.
Then, just to make sure everyone is paying attention, the prophecy shouts out 3 times, "O earth, earth, earth." This is not some whispered secret. That triple repetition is like a cosmic bullhorn, a summons for the entire world to stop what it's doing and bear witness to the judgment that's about to be handed down.
And here it is, the heart of the judgment from Jeremiah 22. Thus saith the Lord, write ye this man childless. This is an official decree. The command to write it down means record this, make it official, put it in the books forever. A permanent black mark is being put next to Kanaya's name. But what exactly did childless mean?
Well, they didn't have to wait long to find out. This wasn't some far-off prediction. Nope, the fallout was immediate, and it was devastating.
The prophecy came true almost instantly. First, just as predicted, Kanaya is defeated by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Second, he's cast out of his own land and hauled off to Babylon. And third, and this is really cool, we actually have Babylonian records that confirm he lived out his days there as a captive. A king, sure, but with absolutely no power.
So Kanaya becomes this living, breathing sign and proverb. His fate wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a public spectacle, a lesson for all the other kingdoms watching. He was a walking cautionary tale about what happens when a king's favor runs out.
But being defeated and exiled is one thing. The real knockout punch of this prophecy, the most lasting consequence, was what it meant for his entire family line. This is where it gets really serious.
Okay, so this is the crucial part. Childless here didn't mean he wouldn't have biological kids. He actually did. The curse was political. It meant he would be childless in rule. The prophecy was declaring that not a single one of his descendants would ever succeed, ever prosper, by sitting on the throne of David again.
And just like that, it was over. The royal line was officially canceled. A 400-year-old dynasty, an unbroken chain going all the way back to King David himself, was snapped. The promise of a perpetual dynasty through his line was put on hold right then and there with Kanaya. So why did this happen? Well, the prophecy lays out 2 very different paths. You have his ancestor, King Josiah, who practiced justice and righteousness, and things went well for him. But then you have Kanaya and his dad, who chased after their own luxury and power, ignoring justice. The message couldn't be clearer. Their injustice led directly to their ruin.
And what was the final result? The final tally? A big, fat 0.
That's the number of kings from David's line who ruled in Judah after Babylon's final takeover. The prophecy was fulfilled completely. The throne stayed empty.
So after all that drama, what's the big lesson here? What are we supposed to take away from this story of a canceled king? Well, it's really about a timeless principle concerning power and who you answer to.
You know, the story basically tells us a few things. First, that divine favor, especially for leaders, isn't a blank check. It's conditional. It shows us that injustice and breaking your promises have real, tangible consequences. And maybe most importantly, that all power, no matter how great, is ultimately accountable to a higher standard of justice. The story of Coniah was a permanent warning to any leader, then or now, who might forget that.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. A question that was true for a king way back in 598 BC and is still just as relevant today. When power is completely disconnected from justice, how long can it really last?